The galaxy was vast and mysterious, filled with countless species from different planets, all trying to live together in peace. But peace was never easy to maintain when so many voices wanted to be heard. On the neutral planet of Valora 7, a meeting was taking place that would shape the future of humanity. This meeting was called the Galactic Council, a gathering of leaders from across the stars who came together to discuss trade, territory, and cooperation. Humans were newcomers to this council, having only recently joined after discovering how to travel between stars. At the center of Earth's delegation stood Jamin, a calm but determined man with sharp eyes and a steady voice. He had been chosen because he understood both diplomacy and the strength needed to protect humanity's interests. Beside him sat Hyejin, a woman whose mind worked like a machine, always calculating the best moves for Earth. Her quiet confidence made her an invaluable advisor. Then there was Dong Hyun, a former soldier who now spoke softly instead of shouting orders. His experience in battles gave him insight into what might happen if talks failed. The room where they met was large and round, with seats arranged in a circle so everyone could see each other. Alien beings of all shapes and sizes filled those seats, some tall and thin, others short and wide, some glowing faintly while others seemed almost invisible. Each species represented their homeworld, bringing their own needs and demands to the table. The air buzzed with conversations in languages no human ear could understand without translators attached to their ears. Jamin leaned forward slightly as the session began. A Zirconian ambassador named Kael'tar, known for his arrogance and sharp tongue, rose to speak. His deep voice echoed through the chamber. "Humans," he said, his tone dripping with disdain. "You claim to want fairness, yet your actions show recklessness. You expand too quickly, take too much, and give too little." Hyejin clenched her fists under the table but kept her face blank. She knew arguments like this were coming. Dong Yun shifted uncomfortably in his seat, his instincts telling him to defend Earth immediately. But Jamin raised a hand slightly, signaling them to stay calm. When it was his turn to speak, he stood up slowly, drawing every eye in the room toward him. "Kael'tar," Jamin began, his voice firm but respectful, "we do not deny our ambitions. Humanity has worked hard to reach the stars, and we wish to share in the benefits of galactic unity. However, we also ask for fairness. We are not asking for special treatment. We are asking for equality." His words hung in the air, met with mixed reactions. Some nodded in agreement, while others muttered amongst themselves. Kael'tar sneered. "Equality? You think you deserve equality after arriving so late to this council? Your kind disrupts everything it touches." Jamin felt anger rise inside him, but he pushed it down. Losing control here would only make things worse. Instead, he continued, "We have contributed technology, resources, and ideas. We have shown willingness to learn and adapt. What more must we do to earn your trust?" But Kael'tar wasn't listening anymore. He turned away dismissively, ending the conversation before Jamin could finish. The rest of the session followed. The same pattern: accusations against humans, demands for restrictions on Earth's activities, and outright hostility whenever Jamin tried to argue otherwise. By the time the meeting adjourned, frustration weighed heavily on the three humans. Back in their quarters, Hyejin paced back and forth, unable to sit still. "This is impossible," she muttered. "They don't even try to listen. How can we negotiate with people who refuse to see us as equals?" Dong Hyun leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "Maybe we shouldn't bother negotiating at all," he said darkly. "If they won't treat us fairly, why should we keep pretending?" Jamin sat quietly, staring at the floor. He had spent years preparing for moments like this, studying diplomacy and strategy, yet nothing could prepare someone for the sheer weight of representing an entire planet. Finally, he looked up. "We cannot give up," he said firmly, "but we also cannot accept disrespect. There comes a point where compromise becomes surrender, and I will not let that happen." Over the next few days, tensions escalated further. During another session, a Xylothian representative accused humans of encroaching on their territory, despite clear evidence showing otherwise. Jamin countered with facts and maps, but the Xylothian refused to back down. Insults flew back, and forth until Jamin finally stood up, his patience snapping. "Enough!" he shouted, silencing the room. Every alien turned to look at him, surprised by his outburst. "We have come here seeking partnership, not conflict. If this council refuses to acknowledge our rights, then perhaps we are better off leaving." A shocked silence fell over the chamber. Even Hye-jin and Dong-hyun stared at him, unsure whether he truly meant what he said. For a moment, no one moved or spoke. Then Kael-Tar smirked. "Go ahead," he said mockingly. "Leave. See how far your pride takes you." Jamin didn't respond. Instead, he gathered his notes and walked out, followed closely by Hye-jin and Dong-hyun. As they stepped into the corridor outside, Hye-jin grabbed his arm. "What are you doing?" she demanded. "You can't just walk away from the council." "I already did," Jamin replied calmly. "And now we'll see what happens next." Word of Jamin's declaration spread quickly throughout the galaxy. News outlets broadcasted his statement across star systems, sparking debates and outrage. Some praised his courage, saying humanity deserved respect. Others condemned him, predicting disaster for Earth if it abandoned the council. Back home, governments scrambled to respond, unsure whether to support Jamin's bold move or distance themselves from it. Meanwhile, aboard their ship heading back to Earth, Jamin stared out the window at the endless expanse of space. He knew the road ahead would be difficult, perhaps even dangerous. But he also knew one thing for certain. Humanity could not thrive unless it stood strong. And standing strong sometimes meant walking away from a bad deal. As the ship hurtled through the void, Jamin resolved to prove that Earth didn't need the Galactic Council to succeed. They would find another way, a better way, to secure humanity's place among the stars. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he vowed to face them, head on. After all, the galaxy was vast, but humanity's spirit was even greater. The decision to leave the Galactic Council had been bold, but its consequences were immediate and severe. As Jamin, Hye-jin, and Dong-hyun returned to Earth aboard their sleek starship, the weight of what they had done settled heavily on their shoulders. News of humanity's withdrawal spread like wildfire across the galaxy, sparking reactions that ranged from admiration to outright hostility. On Earth, public opinion was divided. Some hailed Jamin as a hero who stood up for human dignity, while others accused him of recklessness that could lead to economic collapse or even war. Back in the capital city, where towering skyscrapers pierced the clouds and bustling streets buzzed with activity, Jamin faced mounting pressure. Government officials demanded answers, businesses worried about losing access to alien markets, and ordinary citizens expressed fear about the future. Protesters gathered outside the United Earth Council building, holding signs that read, "Bring us back," and "Jamin betrayed us." Despite the chaos, Jamin remained steadfast, believing that walking away from a flawed system was better than staying and being mistreated. Hye-jin spent most of her time analyzing data and preparing reports. She knew the challenges ahead would be immense. Earth relied heavily on resources provided through the Galactic Council, including rare minerals and advanced technologies. Without those resources, industries would struggle, and prices for basics, goods would skyrocket. Hye-jin worked tirelessly to find alternatives, reaching out to smaller alien species not aligned with the Council. These species often felt ignored by the larger powers and might be willing to trade with Earth directly. Dong-hyun, meanwhile, focused on defense. He understood that leaving the Council made Earth vulnerable. Alien factions like the militaristic Xylothians or the cunning Zirconians might see humanity's isolation as an opportunity to attack. Dong-hyun began coordinating with military leaders around the globe, updating strategies and reinforcing Earth's orbital defenses. He also oversaw the development of new weapons systems, hoping to deter any potential aggressors. Despite their efforts, tensions continued to rise. The Galactic Council convened without Earth present, and debates grew heated. Kael-Tar, the Zirconian leader, tried to justify humanity's expulsion, claiming it was necessary to maintain order. But privately, he felt uneasy. His aide, Vera, noticed his discomfort during one meeting. "Are you certain this was the right decision?" she asked cautiously. Kael-Tar hesitated before responding. "Humans are unpredictable," he admitted. "They push boundaries and disrupt stability. But perhaps Perhaps we acted too hastily. Vera nodded thoughtfully. Some members are already questioning your judgment. If Earth succeeds on its own, it could undermine the Council's authority. Kael'tar frowned, knowing she was, right? Still, pride prevented him from reversing the decision publicly. Instead, he ordered spies to monitor Earth's progress, hoping to gather information that might justify their actions or reveal weaknesses they could exploit. On Earth, Jamin addressed the United Earth Council, urging unity and resilience. "We cannot rely on others to determine our fate," he declared. "It is time for us to stand on our own 2 feet. Together we will prove that humanity can thrive without bowing to anyone." His words inspired some, but skepticism lingered. Scientists and engineers were called upon to innovate solutions for resource shortages. Research labs worked around the clock, experimenting with new methods of energy production and sustainable agriculture. One promising breakthrough came from Subin, a young genius whose passion for science had earned her a place among Earth's brightest minds. Subin had been working on a revolutionary propulsion system called the Solara Drive. Unlike traditional engines, which required vast amounts of fuel, the Solara Drive harnessed solar energy to achieve faster-than-light travel. If successful, it would allow humanity to explore deeper into space and establish new colonies far from hostile alien territories. Her team faced countless setbacks, but Subin refused to give up. Late nights turned into early mornings as she poured every ounce of her energy into perfecting the design. While Subin worked on the Solara Drive, Hyejin made contact with the Lisari, a peaceful species known for their compassion and wisdom. Led by matriarch Lirana, the Lisari lived on a distant planet untouched by galactic politics. Hyejin sent a message explaining Earth's situation and requesting assistance. To her surprise, Lirana responded positively, offering medical supplies and agricultural expertise in exchange for cultural exchanges. Though limited, this agreement marked the beginning of Earth's independent diplomatic efforts. As weeks turned into months, Earth began adapting to life outside the Galactic Council. Rationing measures were implemented to conserve dwindling. Resources and governments encouraged citizens to grow their own food. Communities came together to support one another, sharing knowledge and skills. Despite hardships, a sense of determination emerged. People realized they had no choice but to succeed, and that realization fueled innovation. One day, news arrived that shocked everyone. The Xylothians had launched raids on Earth's outer colonies. These colonies, located on remote planets at the edge of human territory, served as vital hubs for mining and research. Now, they were under attack. Dong Hyun immediately took command, coordinating Earth's defenses. Using experimental weaponry developed in secret, he devised unconventional tactics to counter the Xylothian forces. The first battle took place near Proxima Centauri, a colony rich in titanium deposits. Xylothian ships descended like predators, firing powerful lasers that tore through Earth's outdated defenses. But Dong Hyun had anticipated their brute force approach. He ordered drones equipped with EMP bursts to disable the enemy vessels, leaving them vulnerable to counterattacks. When the Xylothians regrouped, they found themselves facing unexpected resistance, guerrilla-style strikes led by small, agile fighters. Word of these victories spread quickly, boosting morale on Earth. Citizens cheered as footage of triumphs against overwhelming odds played on screens worldwide. Even critics of Jamin's decision began to soften their stance, acknowledging the strength and ingenuity displayed by humanity. However, the strain on resources continued to grow. Earth couldn't sustain prolonged warfare alone, and Jamin knew they needed allies. In a bold move, Jamin authorized Hyejin to reach out to former allies within the Galactic Council. She crafted carefully worded messages, emphasizing mutual survival rather than ideology. Some recipients ignored her pleas, fearing retaliation from Kael'tar. Others, however, responded with cautious interest. Among them were the Vorathons, a reclusive species known for their neutrality. Their leader, Thalnor, agreed to meet, secretly with Hyejin aboard a neutral space station. When they finally met, Thalnor studied Hyejin intently. "Why should we help you?" he asked bluntly. "Your kind has brought nothing but trouble since joining the council." Hyejin met his gaze without flinching. "Because we share a common enemy," she replied. If the Xylothians succeed in weakening Earth, they will turn their attention elsewhere. Is that what you want? Thalnor considered her words before nodding slowly. Very well. We will provide intelligence and logistical support, but only if you promise to keep us out of direct conflict. Hai Jin accepted the terms, grateful for any assistance. With newfound allies and innovative technology, Earth began turning the tide. Battles became less frequent as Xylothian losses mounted, forcing them to reconsider their strategy. Meanwhile, Subin's Solara drive neared completion, promising to revolutionize space travel and open new frontiers for exploration. As Earth adapted and thrived despite adversity, whispers of doubt began spreading within the Galactic Council. Progressive factions questioned whether isolating humanity had been wise. Evidence surfaced implicating the Zirconians in provoking the Xylothian attacks, further eroding trust in Kael'tar's leadership. For the first time, the Council faced internal dissent, threatening to fracture the fragile alliance it represented. Back on Earth, Jaemin reflected on the journey so far. Leaving the Council had been a gamble, but it had forced humanity to rely on itself, and in doing so, revealed strengths many hadn't realized existed. Though challenges remained, Jaemin believed they were closer than ever to proving that Earth deserved respect, not pity. Standing atop a hill overlooking the city skyline, Jaemin watched as the sun set, painting the horizon in hues of orange and pink. Beside him, Hyejin and Donghyun joined him in silence, each lost in their thoughts. Tomorrow would bring new battles, new struggles, but tonight they allowed themselves a moment of quiet hope. The aftermath of humanity's decision to leave the Galactic Council was like a storm that refused to pass. Earth, once part of a vast network of trade and cooperation, now stood alone in the vastness of space. The absence of alien resources hit hard, forcing governments to ration food, energy, and raw materials. Factories slowed production and prices soared. People lined up for hours outside stores, hoping to buy essentials before shelves emptied. Protests erupted in cities worldwide, with angry citizens blaming Jaemin for plunging humanity into chaos. Jaemin felt the weight of these criticisms deeply, but he refused to show it. Inside his office, surrounded by glowing holographic maps and stacks of reports, he worked tirelessly to keep morale high. Hyejin stayed by his side, her sharp mind analyzing every problem and proposing solutions. Donghyun, ever vigilant, focused on defending Earth from potential threats. Together, they formed a team determined to steer humanity through this crisis. But the challenges were immense. Without access to rare minerals from alien-controlled regions, industries struggled to produce advanced technology. Energy shortages forced power cuts in many areas, leaving neighborhoods dark and cold. Farmers faced difficulties growing crops due to limited fertilizers and irrigation systems. Hunger became a growing concern, especially in poorer regions. Governments scrambled to implement emergency measures, but the strain on resources showed no sign of easing. Amidst the turmoil, whispers of rebellion began to spread. Some groups, frustrated by the hardships, called for Earth to rejoin the Galactic Council at any cost. Others argued that humanity should fight back against those who had mistreated them. Jaemin listened to both sides but remained firm in his belief that compromise without dignity was not an option. "We will find another way," he told his advisors repeatedly. "We must." Hyejin threw herself into finding that other way. She reached out to smaller alien species not aligned with the Council, seeking partnerships that could help Earth survive. These species often lived on the fringes of galactic politics, overlooked by larger powers. Many were sympathetic to humanity's plight and willing to trade, though cautiously, fearing retaliation from the Council if discovered. One such species was the Nivari, aquatic beings who inhabited ocean-covered planets. They offered seaweed-based biofuels in exchange for Earth's medical advancements. Another group, the Arathians, provided lightweight alloys used in spacecraft construction. Though these deals were small compared to what Earth had lost, they gave hope to a struggling planet. Hyejin worked tirelessly to expand these connections, knowing that every bit helped. Meanwhile, Donghyun prepared for the worst. The Xylothian, Raids on Earth's outer colonies continued, testing humanity's defenses. Using experimental weapons developed in secret labs, Dong-hyun devised clever strategies to counter their attacks. His favorite tactic involved deploying EMP drones to disable enemy ships, followed by swift strikes from agile fighters. These guerrilla-style battles earned him respect among military leaders and boosted public confidence. Back on Earth, Subin's work on the Solara Drive became a beacon of hope. Her revolutionary propulsion system promised faster-than-light travel, using solar energy instead of traditional fuel. If successful, it would allow humanity to explore deeper into space, bypassing hostile territories and establishing new colonies far from danger. Laboratories buzzed with activity as scientists raced to perfect the design. Late nights turned into early mornings as Subin poured her heart into the project, driven by the belief that her invention could change everything. News of the Solara Drive leaked unexpectedly, drawing attention from across the galaxy. Alien spies reported its progress to their leaders, sparking intrigue even within the Galactic Council. Kale Tar, the Zirconian leader, grew increasingly uneasy. He had dismissed humanity as reckless and unimportant, but their resilience surprised him. When evidence emerged suggesting the Xylothians had orchestrated the raids to weaken Earth, Kale Tar realized his mistake might have unintended consequences. Privately, he confided in Vera, his trusted aide. "What if we underestimated them?" he asked, his voice tinged with doubt. "If they succeed with this Solara Drive, it could shift the balance of power." Vera nodded thoughtfully. "Perhaps it's time to reconsider our stance. Isolating them may have been a miscalculation." Kale Tar frowned, torn between pride and pragmatism. Publicly reversing his decision would damage his reputation, but ignoring the situation could lead to greater instability. For now, he chose to wait and observe, sending envoys to gather more information about Earth's progress. On Earth, Jaemin addressed the United Earth Council, urging unity and perseverance. "This is our moment to prove ourselves," he declared. "We cannot rely on others to determine our fate. Together, we will build a future where humanity stands tall among the stars." His words inspired some, but skepticism lingered. Critics pointed to the ongoing hardships, questioning whether Earth could endure much longer. Yet, despite the challenges, a spirit of determination emerged. Communities came together to support one another, sharing knowledge and resources. Gardens sprouted in urban areas as people learned to grow their own food. Workshops taught skills, like repairing electronics or building tools from scrap materials. Slowly but surely, Earth adapted to its new reality. One breakthrough came when Hyejin secured a deal with the Lissari, a compassionate species led by matriarch Lirana. In exchange for cultural exchanges, the Lissari provided medical supplies and agricultural expertise. Their assistance alleviated some of the pressure on Earth's strained healthcare system and improved crop yields in several regions. Though modest, this partnership marked a turning point, a sign that humanity could forge alliances outside the Council. As months passed, Earth's efforts began paying off. Innovations in energy production reduced reliance on imported fuels. Sustainable farming techniques increased food supplies, and Subin's Solara Drive neared completion, promising to revolutionize space exploration. Each success brought renewed hope, proving that humanity could thrive independently. However, the Xylothian threat loomed large. Their raids targeted Earth's most vulnerable colonies, aiming to weaken resistance. Dong-hyun responded with relentless determination, coordinating defenses and launching counterattacks. One particularly fierce battle took place near Epsilon Eridani, a colony rich in rare metals. Xylothian forces descended like a swarm, overwhelming defenders with sheer numbers, but Dong-hyun anticipated their strategy. He ordered decoy ships to lure the enemy into a trap, then unleashed EMP drones to disable their fleet. When the Xylothians regrouped, they found themselves surrounded by Earth's fighters, forcing them to retreat. Victories like these boosted morale, but also highlighted Earth's vulnerabilities. The strain on resources continued, and Jaemin knew they couldn't sustain prolonged warfare alone. Desperate for allies, he authorized Hyejin to reach out to former council members secretly. She crafted careful messages emphasizing mutual survival rather than ideology. Some recipients ignored her pleas, fearing retaliation from Kyle Tar. Others, however, responded with cautious interest. Among them were the Vorathans, a reclusive species known for their neutrality. Their leader, Thalnor, agreed to meet Hyejin aboard a neutral space station. When they finally met, Thalnor studied her intently. "Why should we help you?" he asked bluntly. "Your kind has caused nothing but trouble since joining the Council." Hyejin met his gaze without flinching. "Because we share a common enemy," she replied. "If the Xylothians succeed in weakening Earth, they will turn their attention elsewhere. Is that what you want?" Thalnor considered her words before nodding slowly. "Very well. We will provide intelligence and logistical support, but only if you promise to keep us out of direct conflict." Hyejin accepted the terms, grateful for any assistance. With newfound allies and innovative technology, Earth began turning the tide. Battles became less frequent as Xylothian losses mounted, forcing them to reconsider their strategy. Meanwhile, Subin's Solara Drive neared completion, promising to open new frontiers for exploration. As Earth adapted and thrived despite adversity, whispers of doubt began spreading within the Galactic Council. Progressive factions questioned whether isolating humanity had been wise. Evidence surfaced implicating the Zirconians in provoking the Xylothian attacks, further eroding trust in Kael'tar's leadership. For the first time, the Council faced internal dissent, threatening to fracture the fragile alliance it represented. Back on Earth, Jaemin reflected on the journey so far. Leaving the Council had been a gamble, but it had forced humanity to rely on itself, and in doing so, revealed strengths many hadn't realized existed. Though challenges remained, Jaemin believed they were closer than ever to proving that Earth deserved respect, not pity. Standing atop a hill overlooking the city skyline, Jaemin watched as the sun set, painting the horizon in hues of orange and pink. Beside him, Hyejin and Donghyun joined him in silence, each lost in their thoughts. Tomorrow would bring new battles, new struggles, but tonight they allowed themselves a moment of quiet hope. The sun rose over Earth, casting golden light across fields of crops and bustling cities. It was a new day, but the challenges remained immense. Humanity had weathered the storm of isolation, adapting to life without the Galactic Council's resources. Yet, every victory came at a cost. The strain on Earth's people and systems was undeniable, but amid the hardships, a quiet resilience emerged. People worked together, shared what little they had, and found ways to innovate. Slowly, Earth began to heal and thrive. Subin's Solara Drive became a symbol of hope for humanity. After months of relentless effort, her team completed the first prototype. The device hummed softly as it absorbed solar energy, converting it into propulsion capable of faster-than-light travel. When tested, the results exceeded expectations. Ships equipped with the Solara Drive could now journey farther and faster than ever before, opening up vast regions of space previously unreachable. News of this breakthrough spread quickly, sparking excitement and pride among humans. Jaemin watched the test flight from a control room, his heart pounding with anticipation. As the ship vanished into the stars, he felt a surge of emotion, pride, relief, and determination. Turning to Hyejin and Donghyun, he said, "This changes everything. With the Solara Drive, we can explore new territories, establish colonies, and secure resources far from hostile alien factions." Hyejin nodded, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "It also gives us leverage," she added. "Other species will take notice. They won't ignore us anymore." Donghyun crossed his arms, a rare smile breaking through his usually serious demeanor. "And if anyone tries to stop us, we'll be ready." Word of the Solara Drive reached alien ears almost instantly. Spies stationed near Earth sent reports back to their leaders, describing its potential to revolutionize space travel. The Galactic Council convened in an emergency session, with Kael'tar at the center of heated debates. Progressive members argued that isolating Earth had been a mistake, pointing to humanity's rapid advancements as proof of their value. Conservative factions, however, insisted that allowing Earth back into the fold would undermine the Council's authority. Kael'tar listened to both sides, torn between pride and pragmatism. Privately, he admitted to Vera that humanity's success forced him to reconsider his earlier decisions. "They are proving stronger than I expected," he confessed. If we don't act soon, they may surpass us entirely. Vera nodded thoughtfully. Perhaps it's time to extend an olive branch. Not publicly, of course, but subtly. Keltar agreed, sending Thalnor, a trusted envoy, to observe Earth's progress firsthand. Disguised as a trader, Thalnor traveled to Earth, blending into crowded markets and industrial zones. What he saw astonished him. Despite the hardships, humans displayed remarkable ingenuity and determination. Factories buzzed with activity, producing goods using innovative techniques. Farmers cultivated crops using sustainable methods, ensuring food security even in difficult times. Most impressive of all was the spirit of cooperation. He witnessed strangers helping one another, sharing tools, knowledge, and supplies. When Thalnor returned to the council chambers, he delivered a report that shocked many. Humans are not broken, he said firmly. They are thriving. Their technology is advancing rapidly, and their people are united. If we continue to ignore them, we risk losing influence over the galaxy. His words sparked intense debate within the council. Some called for reconciliation, while others urged caution. Meanwhile, Earth continued to forge ahead, unaware of the growing fissures within the council. Back on Earth, Jamin focused on strengthening alliances with smaller alien species. Hyejin had already established trade agreements with the Nivari and Arathians, and now she turned her attention to the Lasari. Matriarch Lirana welcomed her warmly, expressing admiration for humanity's resilience. Your kind reminds me of us long ago, Lirana said during one meeting. We too were once outsiders, struggling to survive. You have earned our respect. In exchange for medical supplies and agricultural expertise, the Lasari requested cultural exchanges, art, music, and stories from Earth. Hyejin eagerly agreed, knowing these interactions would foster goodwill and understanding. Artists, musicians, and storytellers traveled to Lasari worlds, sharing pieces of human culture. In return, Earth received valuable assistance that helped ease some of the resource shortages. Meanwhile, Subin's team worked tirelessly to produce more Solara drives. Factories adapted to mass-produce the devices, equipping Earth's fleet with the revolutionary technology. Ships ventured into uncharted territories, discovering planets rich in resources and suitable for colonization. These missions marked the beginning of a new era for humanity, an era defined by exploration and independence. One such mission led to the discovery of a planet orbiting a distant star. Named Nova Terra by its explorers, the world boasted fertile soil, abundant water, and a stable climate. Colonists arrived shortly after, establishing settlements and laying the foundation for a thriving community. Nova Terra became a beacon of hope, proving that humanity could build a future beyond Earth. As Earth's fortunes improved, public opinion shifted. Critics who had once condemned Jamin's decision to leave the Galactic Council now praised his leadership. Governments rallied behind him, pledging support for his vision of a self-reliant humanity. Even skeptics admitted that walking away from the Council had forced Earth to grow stronger. But the Xylothians remained a looming threat. Though their raids had slowed due to Earth's successful defenses, they still posed a danger. Dong-Hyun kept military forces on high alert, preparing for any attack. Intelligence gathered by the Vorathans revealed that the Xylothians were regrouping, planning a massive assault aimed at crippling Earth's recovery. When news of this plan reached Jamin, he called an urgent meeting with Hyejin and Dong-Hyun. We cannot afford another war, he said grimly. Not now, when we're finally gaining ground. Hyejin leaned forward, her mind racing. What if we offer them something else? Something they want more than conflict? Dong-Hyun raised an eyebrow. Like what? The Solara drive, Hyejin replied. Or at least part of the technology. We can propose a limited partnership. Shared. Knowledge in exchange for peace. Jamin considered her suggestion carefully. Sharing the Solara drive meant risking its secrets falling into enemy hands, but it also offered a chance to end hostilities. After much deliberation, he agreed. Hyejin drafted a proposal and sent it to the Xylothian leadership, inviting them to negotiate terms. To everyone's surprise, the Xylothians accepted. Representatives from both sides met aboard a neutral space station, engaging in tense but productive discussions. Hyejin represented Earth, her calm demeanor masking the anxiety she felt. Across the table sat Raxtor, a Xylothian commander known for his cunning and ruthlessness. His glowing red eyes studied her intently as negotiations began. "We are willing to share certain aspects of the Solara Drive," Hyejin stated clearly, "but only if you agree to cease all hostilities against Earth." Raxtor sneered, though there was a flicker of interest in his expression. "Why should we trust you? Your kind has proven unpredictable." "Because continuing this war benefits no one," Hyejin countered. "You lose ships and soldiers. We lose resources and lives. Cooperation is better for both of us." After hours of debate, they reached a tentative agreement. The Xylothians would halt their attacks in exchange for access to modified versions of the Solara Drive. While not as powerful as Earth's models, these adaptations allowed them to improve their own fleet capabilities. Both parties left the negotiation table cautiously optimistic, hoping the fragile truce would hold. Back on Earth, Jae-min addressed the United Earth Council, announcing the deal. "This is a step toward peace," he declared, "not just with the Xylothians, but with all species who wish to coexist. We will no longer be isolated. We will reach out, build bridges, and create a future where humanity stands tall among the stars." His words resonated deeply, inspiring hope and determination. People celebrated the agreement, seeing it as a turning point in Earth's history. For the first time in months, the skies seemed brighter, the air lighter. Humanity had faced incredible challenges and emerged stronger. Yet Jaemin knew the road ahead would not be easy. Rebuilding trust with the galaxy would take time, and old enemies might still seek to undermine Earth's progress. But for now, he allowed himself a moment of quiet satisfaction. Standing on a hill overlooking the city skyline, he watched as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. Beside him, Hyejin and Dong-hyun stood silently, each lost in their thoughts. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities, but tonight they allowed themselves to dream of a brighter future. Together, they had proven that humanity could rise above adversity, forging a path toward unity and prosperity. The fragile truce with the Xylothians brought a brief moment of calm, but it did not last long. Tensions simmered beneath the surface, threatening to boil over at any moment. While Earth celebrated the agreement as a step toward peace, whispers of betrayal and suspicion spread among alien factions. Some saw humanity's resilience as a threat, while others viewed their technological advancements with envy. The galaxy was a volatile place, and even the smallest spark could ignite chaos. Jaemin stood in his office, staring at holographic maps that showed Earth's growing influence. Colonies on Nova Terra flourished, and ships equipped with Solara drives explored uncharted regions of space. Yet, despite these successes, Jae-min couldn't shake the feeling that danger loomed nearby. Hyejin entered the room, her face grave. "We've received reports," she said quietly. "The Zirconians are stirring trouble again." Kael'tar, leader of the Zirconians, had grown increasingly uneasy about humanity's rise. His pride refused to let him admit he had been wrong to isolate Earth, but privately, he feared losing control of the Galactic Council. Progressive factions within the council criticized his leadership, pointing to Earth's achievements as proof that isolation had backfired. To regain authority, Kael'tar began sowing discord, spreading rumors that humanity's expansion posed a threat to galactic stability. These whispers reached the ears of the Xylothians, who were already wary of Earth's newfound strength. Raxtor, the Xylothian commander, listened intently as Kael'tar's envoys painted a grim picture. "Humans cannot be trusted," they warned. "Their technology gives them an unfair advantage. If left unchecked, they will dominate the galaxy." Raxtor clenched his fists, torn between honoring the truce and acting on his instincts. In the end, ambition won out. He ordered his fleet to prepare for a massive assault, targeting Earth's most vulnerable colonies. This time, they would strike without warning, aiming to cripple humanity before they grew too powerful. On Earth, Dong-hyun sensed the shift in the air. Intelligence gathered by the Vorathons revealed increased activity near Xylothian territories. Ships moved into position, weapon systems powered up, and supply lines stretched taut. It was clear. A large-scale attack was imminent. Dong Hyun wasted no time, calling an emergency meeting with Jae-min and Hyejin. "We need to act fast," Dong Hyun said, pacing the room. "If we wait for them to strike first, we'll lose too much ground." Hyejin nodded, her mind racing through options. "We can't fight this alone," she admitted. "We need allies, species willing to stand with us against aggression." Jaemin leaned forward, his expression resolute. "Then we'll find them. Every species has something to lose if the Xylothians succeed. We just have to show them what's at stake." Hyejin reached out to the Lysari, Navari, Arathians, and Vorathans, appealing for support. She framed the conflict not as humanity's battle, but as a fight for mutual survival. Her message resonated deeply, especially with the Lysari, who valued peace above all else. Matriarch Lyrana pledged aid immediately, sending medical supplies and engineers to reinforce Earth's defenses. The Navari offered biofuel reserves, while the Arathians contributed lightweight alloys for ship repairs. Even the cautious Vorathans agreed to provide intelligence and logistical assistance. As preparations intensified, Subin worked around the clock to improve the Solara drive. Her team developed enhancements that boosted speed and efficiency, ensuring Earth's fleet could outrun or outmaneuver enemy forces. Factories churned out upgraded drives, equipping ships with cutting-edge technology. Pilots trained tirelessly, mastering new tactics designed to exploit the Solara drive's capabilities. Meanwhile, public morale on Earth remained high. People rallied behind Jaemin's vision of unity and resilience. Communities organized volunteer efforts, building shelters, repairing infrastructure, and supporting soldiers heading off to defend the colonies. Artists created murals depicting humanity's journey, from isolation to independence, and musicians composed songs celebrating courage and determination. Despite these efforts, fear lingered in the background. Everyone knew the coming battle would test Earth's limits. Dong Hyun addressed military leaders across the globe, outlining strategies for defense. He emphasized agility and surprise, urging commanders to think creatively rather than relying on brute force. "We're outnumbered," he told them, "but we're smarter, faster, and more adaptable. That's how we'll win." The first wave of attacks came without warning. Xylothian ships descended upon a colony orbiting Epsilon Eridani, raining destruction from above. Civilians scrambled for cover as explosions rocked the settlement. Communications crackled with desperate pleas for help. Back on Earth, Jaemin watched footage of the assault, his jaw tightening. "We can't let them take this colony," he said firmly. "It's a test, to see how far we'll bend before breaking." Dong Hyun sprang into action, deploying Earth's fleet to intercept the invaders. Using EMP drones and guerrilla-style tactics, they disabled several Xylothian vessels, forcing the enemy to retreat temporarily. But the victory was costly. Dozens of human lives were lost, and the colony suffered significant damage. News of the battle spread quickly, reigniting fears of prolonged warfare. Yet amidst the chaos, unexpected allies emerged. The Lysari sent medical teams to treat wounded colonists, while the Navari provided fuel to power generators and repair facilities. The Vorathans shared intelligence revealing weaknesses in the Xylothian fleet, allowing Earth's forces to plan counterattacks more effectively. These contributions proved invaluable, turning the tide in favor of humanity. Encouraged by these successes, Jaemin authorized a bold move, a preemptive strike against a key Xylothian outpost. Located deep within contested territory, the outpost served as a staging ground for attacks on Earth's colonies. If destroyed, it would cripple the Xylothians' ability to wage war. Dong Hyun led the operation personally, coordinating a daring assault under cover of darkness. Using cloaking technology borrowed from the Vorathans, Earth's ships slipped past enemy patrols undetected. When they reached the outpost, they unleashed a barrage of missiles and energy blasts, obliterating the facility in moments. The attack caught the Xylothians off guard, leaving them scrambling to regroup. For the first time, humanity took the initiative, striking fear into the hearts of their adversaries. News of the victory electrified Earth. Citizens cheered as footage of the destroyed outpost played on screens worldwide. Critics who had doubted Jamin's leadership fell silent, replaced by voices praising his strategic brilliance. Governments pledged renewed support, funneling resources into defense and exploration. Scientists worked tirelessly to refine the Solara drive further, ensuring Earth maintained its technological edge. Even Kael'tar couldn't ignore the implications. As reports flooded in detailing humanity's triumphs, he realized his attempts to undermine Earth had failed spectacularly. Vera approached him cautiously, sensing his frustration. "Perhaps it's time to reconsider your stance," she suggested, gently. "If you continue opposing them, you risk alienating the entire council." Kael'tar scowled, unwilling to admit defeat openly. Instead, he ordered spies to monitor Earth's activities closely, searching for vulnerabilities to exploit. Privately, however, he began considering ways to integrate humanity back into the council, not as equals, but as partners beholden to his authority. Back on Earth, Jamin reflected on the progress made so far. Humanity had faced incredible challenges: economic collapse, resource shortages, and relentless attacks, but had emerged stronger each time. The spirit of cooperation fostered during these trials reminded him of why they had walked away from the council in the first place. "We didn't leave because we were weak," he told Hyejin and Dong Hyun one evening. "We left because we wanted to build something better, something fair." Hyejin smiled faintly. "And we're doing exactly that." Dong Hyun nodded, his usual seriousness softened by a hint of pride. "We've proven we can protect ourselves. Now it's time to show the galaxy what we're truly capable of." As dawn broke over Earth, painting the sky in hues of gold and blue, Jamin stood on a hill overlooking the city skyline. Beside him, Hyejin and Dong Hyun joined him in silence, watching as ships equipped with Solara drives soared into the heavens. They carried not just weapons and supplies, but hope, the hope of a future where humanity stood tall among the stars, united and unyielding.